Welcome to the Superwoman Life. I'm so excited to be able to introduce a lady that I've known for a few years and followed for even longer. Theresa Cheung is a leading expert in all things spiritual, heaven, paranormal, dreams, you name it. She's such a fascinating lady, and of course she's a best-selling author. So I'm so delighted to be able to introduce you to her. Theresa, I'm sure lots of people who are watching this know you already, but just in case anybody hasn't come across your amazing work, can you just introduce yourself a little bit and just let us know a bit about you?
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Kate, for inviting me. But I'm first of all going to pay tribute to you because I did meet you about 5 years ago now, is it?
Yeah, I think
when we were working on a kind of a spiritual project, which was rather eccentric to say the least. However, it had good heart and intention. It didn't actually ultimately be as successful as we wanted. But I remember I came across Kate's work and I actually had the honor of meeting you in person. And, you know, when you meet people and you just know they are authentic, filled with integrity and heart and soul, and that's you. And the older I get, and older listeners might resonate here, you start to really value people like that because there are not enough of them in the world today. So thank you for all you are and do, Kate. You are a light. And I'm honoured to be here with you today. And I was thrilled when you asked me, and I'm sorry I couldn't do it earlier. But to go back to me, the boring bit, yes, I am. You've kind of said it, really. I'm just trying to do all I can to spread the word that there's more to this life than meets the eye. I don't know what that is, but I know it's something. I know there's an invisible part of us that's unseen, that we visit in our dreams, our memories, our feelings, our precognitions, our intuitions. And that part of us, I think, needs studying and researching. And I've devoted my life with working with scientists, talking to practitioners or people with supernormal abilities to try and find out what's going on and to offer hope that there is more to this life than the stuff, that there is a deeper meaning and purpose. I don't quite know what that is yet. I've got clues, but it's a lifetime journey. And I think actually the journey is sometimes better than the arrival, just trying to find what the meaning and purpose of our life is. That was a very long and rambling way to say I'm an author and a spiritual expert.
But you've had a really fascinating life as well, haven't you? Because I know from talking to you before, you know, you're an incredibly intelligent woman and you do all these things.
My family would disagree. They're laughing in the background. Carry on.
But, you know, you've got incredible qualifications and, you know, there are an awful lot of people out there who are interested in the sorts of things that you are, and of course that I am as well. But you've got that kind of academic background, haven't you, to give you that gravitas?
Yeah, I always felt like a square peg in a round hole when I was at Cambridge and kind of wondered what on earth I was doing there. I'm actually really pleased now because it has helped me give a platform to talk about spiritual development, the paranormal, in a way that it might not have done. So I'm incredibly grateful to that background because it makes me kind of like a bit of an odd one out also in the new age, in the paranormal world, because I have got these academic credentials to draw on, and it really paid off when I wanted to find out the science because I was able to reach out to scientists, and I'm not, you know, I'm sure it helped. You know, my track record in publishing probably helped, but the fact that they kind of understood where I was coming from. So I'm very grateful for that platform. Yes, I have. And I have had a very unusual life because I was born into a family of psychics and spiritualists, but don't feel that I have psychic ability. Well, I didn't feel that at the time. I don't see dead people. I don't claim to see angels jumping out of my hair or anywhere else. But I have a belief in it because of people I know in my life. And I've kind of like realized as I come to the second half of my life or beyond the second that actually I am psychic. I just was looking for it in the wrong places. I am spiritual. I do see angels. I just see them in unexpected ways. And now that's my purpose, actually, to help people discover their inner angel and realize that, you know, we're all mediums, we're all psychics. We just need to understand ways to unlock that. And that's what I do now. I'm actually kind of against. I have promoted practitioners and people who I believe have abilities, but in some ways I'm kind of against putting people on a pedestal because they say they had a vision, or because they say they can, see the future or talk to dead people. I believe there are some people who may have these abilities, and they should be studied and investigated scientifically for what's going on in their brains. But that should excite us to show, well, if they can do it, so can we. I'm starting to move away, actually, from what I did. Life is all about evolution, of putting someone on a pedestal as a guru, as a expert. I think that makes you subservient and you follow rather than be an original. I'm all about now encouraging everybody to just be original and to follow themselves. And the only person they should put on a pedestal is the person they're going to be tomorrow.
That's exactly what this interview series is about as well. Because even though you're quite possibly the highest profile person that I'm going to interview for it, most of the people that I'm interviewing are everyday women that, I either know really well or I've met through work, but most people wouldn't have heard of.
But I'm guessing, there's an appetite for that now for people who, I think we've got a distaste for people actually who are high profile and celebrity, especially the pandemic's done that. And I had an early taste of that as well, because when I went on Russell Brand last year, I was just not someone outside of New Age who was known. I was sandwiched between the likes of Tony Robbins and Marianne Williamson. And actually, because of the fact that I was someone who was like kind of everyday and not really, who is this? There was more interest. So I think what you're doing is actually what people are craving now. We see that when we applaud the healthcare workers, they're the stars now.
Well,
I think we're tired of
appreciating the fact that we've all got the ability to do something really special if we just decide to as well. That's been so important, hasn't it? And I think, the celebrities who've been paid a fortune for doing what they're doing haven't been able to get their message out necessarily during the pandemic. A lot of them have suddenly come out with things that, really made us question.
Did you really want to hear from some Instagram influencer with millions of followers, or would you like to hear from a doctor from your local hospital? I know who I'd like to hear from and see on my news feed. So I get so passionate about this because I think the world was tilting that way. We were going so far towards this reality TV, celebrity status, followers, how you look like. I love the fact that now we can't go to beauticians and stuff. This is what you get, reality, authentic, real. And I think it's actually, there are positives despite all the pain and chaos.
I think a lot of people have taken the time to really look in. And as we said before we started the interview, spending much more time with their loved ones, which has been so precious. And I know your children are a little bit older than mine.
A lot older, Kay. You're a baby.
Just having them there. Obviously, my two still live at home, but them not going to school and has been able to have all 3 meals together every day. And that was just such a precious thing for me. I really, really enjoyed that part of lockdown.
And I love the fact you said spending time with loved ones. And of course, the loved one that we most had to spend time with is ourselves, because a lot of people struggle with self-love. And, we really if you've got to work on your self-love now and your inner strength. It's kind of like we're all being forced into a contemplative life.
We can't keep busy, can we? In the past, we've kept busy to distract ourselves, a lot of the time. So if something was happening that we didn't like, we just made ourselves more busy so that we didn't have time to think about it. And we haven't had that during the last few months. We've had to kind of sit with what we're feeling and work through things more, which has been so valuable, hasn't it?
You are a wise woman. You are a wise woman. Absolutely. I don't know whether there was a higher meaning or purpose to it all. I never claimed to understand why, but, we have had a shift, haven't we, towards who am I? And also it's interesting with my children because they had all these career ambitions and stuff. And now they're sort of sitting thinking, I actually want to do something that helps, that has meaning. It's not just all about the business cards and earning money and getting followers and the parties anymore. And that's been incredible because I did despair, wondering how am I going to, maybe they just have to live through that really materialistic phase. It's part of the journey of being a human being. And now they're sort of coming to it anyway and wanting to help, wanting to their life to be bigger, to make an impact. And I just think that's incredible. But anyway, it's just a shame it came at such a harsh price. And, you know, being an afterlife writer as well, so many people not being able to say goodbye to their loved ones. With me trying to promote the message, I've also tried to promote that death ends a life, not a relationship. And that you can visit them in your dreams and your memories. And perhaps, just perhaps, there is an invisible, unseen realm where they go. You know, I was watching that wonderful movie Where Dreams May Come with Robin Williams the other day. Made me cry buckets. And I just thought, that's everything I write about. You know, do you know that movie?
I do, yeah. I love it. I love it when people try to recreate things that we believe might be true, but we're not 100%, because we believe in and we kind of know deep down are real, but we've got no real way to prove it.
I know.
And it's so nice to look and go, yeah, that's what I thought.
Actually, science is getting there. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, I'm currently working on a book, actually. It's probably going to be my last angel book. It's published by Hodder and Stoughton in March. It's called The Truth About Angels. And it's going to be what science is finding out now about paranormal abilities, the possibility of an afterlife. And it's mind-blowing. And a lot of this research is hidden in academic and scientific journals, obscured by jargon. And, you know, you'd be amazed. Scientists are getting close to almost being spiritual. It's spiritual science. It's a beautiful union of opposites that's starting to occur. And but if you think, you know, hundreds of years ago, us talking like this would have been considered a miracle. So who's to say in hundreds of years' time what science, technology will be able to enable us to do? And, you know, there's so much infinite potential within us. I mean, we would all be considered gods by medieval man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just think.
Well, I mean, even just going back, I mean, we were talking during lockdown about if it had happened when we were the same age as the children are, you know, we wouldn't have had any schoolwork sent home because the teachers wouldn't have been able to deliver enough, you know, photocopied sheets or sheets done on a bandograph, never mind a photocopier. You know, we couldn't have talked to our friends. We certainly couldn't have seen people, you know, like we've been able to over the last few months. And, you know, we're moving on so quickly, aren't we, technologically? And I suppose almost inevitably we're going to start to understand so much more about ourselves.
Absolutely. But it's also cut out a lot of unnecessary things in our life, you know. Like for me, I'm going to be honest, you know, I'm a little bit vain. I have my nails done every couple of weeks. I would sometimes, when I was really busy and I was doing a lot of media, I'd go to the hairdresser once a week, you know, all this stuff. So I'm thinking, my goodness, I wasted so much of my life on these things. So much, you know, of my energy that it could have been expended in a better way. I've had to look at myself as well. My whole life is completely transformed. And I'm not sure I will not go back to how I was. I don't think any of us will. I think we've all changed, you know, in I hope positive ways. I mean, have you been touched by anyone who actually has had COVID? Do you know?
Not firsthand. I mean, I know of people who've had it, who've, you know, luckily come through the other side and they've been okay, but nobody really close to me has had it that I know of. But of course, some people get it and don't have any symptoms and don't realise, don't they? So
I know it's who just thought, you know, here in you know, Christmas 2019, we're all busy planning, you know, like those mice in that poem of Mice and Men, you know, building their home, and we had no idea, did we? And that's interesting, actually, and that's something with, you know, with psychics as well. I think there's not many psychics predicted this, and that's something I'm looking at honestly as well. That's, you know, I think psychics and all these people making claims online and everything as well. There's a lot of dubious practice going on that also I think that New Age movement needs a bit of regulation. And I feel I can say that because I'm someone who's never claimed to have paranormal abilities. I just sort of saying, well, sometimes amazing things happen and I can't explain them.
I think sometimes as well, though, it's like anything, isn't it? You know, that for every person that can genuinely do something, there's 3 or 4 other people claiming to be able to, just to make a quick buck. And that's something that I noticed really early on when I started doing, you know, sort of Reiki professionally and that sort of thing. For every really good practitioner, you get, you know, a handful who aren't really doing it with the right intention, which of course, when you're working with energy, if you're not doing it from the right place, can then have really detrimental effects.
I've tried, you know, on my podcast as well, to invite practitioners on who are working from their hearts, not their egos and their pockets. And, you know, of course, it has to be a business as well. I do understand that. You know, it is very hard. I think spiritual people do struggle with the money, that side. And it is important that they value their expertise and skills and do charge the right amount. But you're right. You know, it's the products, the courses and the packaging, the marketing rah-rah around some of these individuals that is quite depressing, actually, because, you know, anyway, that's another topic. But I cover that in my upcoming book. I'm taking a good hard look at what's happened to the New Age movement.
Yeah. I'm intrigued, Theresa, because obviously, you know, the Superwoman life is about finding our inner hero. And I'm really intrigued because you are so well read and so articulate. I would love to know what you think a hero is, what a hero is to you.
Someone who is an original, someone who is following their path and with integrity, someone who keeps their word, someone who, as I say, is themselves. I mean, I often talk, sometimes I'm just trying to think of someone who springs to mind who I feel embodies that. I mean, she's controversial, but someone like J.K. Rowling, for example, who just had this vision and created, despite everybody telling her at the time, look, you're not going to, children's books, no, don't bother. Children don't want to know about death and dying. Who just created something. She's an inspirational, I feel. And there are many women like that who just have a vision and they are true to themselves. And even if it gets them in trouble and they say things that they know are going to make them lose followers, or like they have to be true to who they are. It's being true to who you are.
And I think we forget, don't we, that everybody's had different life experiences. So I think she's a classic case, actually, of having been through things that have given her a particular opinion on certain topics. And it might not be the experience that everybody else has had, but that's what she's been through and that's her truth. And, you know, we shouldn't have to feel like we've got to falsify our own beliefs and our own feelings because it's what's more socially acceptable.
Exactly. People like that, whether you can agree to disagree. And I think we need more of that in the world. You know, you can understand someone's point of view without having to agree with it. And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to force other people over to your way. And that's what I've always done with my books. I hope to open minds and encourage debate. I never want to ram it down people's throat what I believe. It's like I'm a vegetarian, but none of my family are, because my children must make up their own minds. And I think people must come to their own conclusions. And as I say, that's why increasingly I'm moving away from encouraging gurus, psychics, putting them on a pedestal, because I think it encourages that following mentality. And we do see it around the world now, how that's manifesting, that it almost like dangerous cult-like levels. Because basically it's so much easier if somebody else tells you what to do. Somebody else tells you how to be. But I'm sure if you go to heaven, if there's an afterlife, and I think there is, you won't be asked, how much did you copy Gandhi? How much did you copy Christ? How much did you copy Buddha? You'll be asked, were you the best and highest version of yourself? And you know, people have got to believe that every one of us is worth of it. Every one of us is a unique miracle of DNA. There's never going to be anyone like us again. And we've concentrated so much on what's wrong with us and why we're not like someone else. Forget about everybody else. It doesn't matter what they're doing. That's their journey. I mean, I've found within the movement as well that there's a certain amount of tension between spiritual authors or people, and it's almost like a competition. That's ridiculous, because what one person does will never be what you do. So let them have their success. Success is not like a pie that there's slices and then it's all gone. It's infinite. So you just concentrate on your journey and be happy for other people when they're successful. So many people struggle with that.
It's so true, isn't it? Because as soon as you become your authentic self, as soon as you allow yourself to just be yourself and not try to fit into a frame of what somebody thinks somebody who's living your life should be, that's when you suddenly attract all the right people and the right opportunities. And, you know, you can have a massive following, but if all those people are following you and they're following somebody who's not actually you, it's just, you know, a character that you've created.
Absolutely.
And, you know, what are you getting in return from that?
It'll be like a house of cards. It will crumble. It will crumble at some point. And even if other people can't see it, it will crumble in the feeling you have when you go to bed at night. My criterion for success at the moment is when I put my head on the pillow, have I felt that I've lived to the highest version of myself? Have I felt that I've been authentic? Have I felt that I've spoken my truth? That's my criterion. Not book sales, not, you know, did I get invited on this telly program, whatever. Talking to you today is for me is a great success, because as I say, I really do admire you, Kate, and all that you do. That's what matters to me now, you know. And then, of course, I hope I have lots of fantastic dreams, because I'm so interested in dreaming.
Yeah. So going back to heroes, who have been your heroes in your life, Theresa?
I'm just trying to think. As I said, I do mention J.K. Rowling. She comes up a lot because she represents creativity to me. Michelle Obama, of course, is someone I really, really admire and follow. Even someone like Lady Gaga, who is just way out there. I'm talking about celebrities, and, you know, but I admire, actually, there was a doctor who delivered my son in America. And I was a very nervous first-time mother. And this woman just was an angel on earth. And she actually inspired me to sort of start writing health books at the time, I remember. And I just thought, what a woman. Nobody really knows her. She's not world famous, but someone like that. And I thought, that's a life well lived.
And the people who do jobs like that are incredible, aren't they? I mean, you know, there are very few people walking about who haven't had the benefit of incredible healthcare professionals in their life. You know, whether it's bringing them into the world, healing them of, you know, different complaints and illnesses that they might have. I mean, you know, when I think about all the doctors and nurses and surgeons who've impacted my life, you know, by operating on my loved ones, or, you know, bringing my children into the world, you know, I mean, the doctor who performed my surgery when I had my head surgery, you know, I mean, that is, you know, life-changing, completely life-changing.
That is remarkable. And you know, more than any spiritual guru or someone who claims that they have abilities, that for me, I mean, they are the real empaths and healers. And every day they're putting themselves on the line for other people. And those are the people that I increasingly am drawn towards and I want to talk to, actually. I'm not really, I mean, I do my own podcast, White Shores, and I talk to people. I recently had a surgeon on talking there, and a death doula, people like that. And I get as nervous speaking to them and as in awe as I would say, for example, you know, and I've had some big names on there, like even Alexandra and stuff. I actually now increasingly am drawn to the authentic and a life well lived, not a life lived for fame or followers or products or marketing an image. You know, that's a fundamental shift. And I thank 2020, the year of clear vision, for for bringing that to me, and I think to a lot of people as well.
My last proper question for you is, do you consider that you have a superpower? And if so, what is it?
Ooh, I think we all got superpowers, first of all. My superpower, I like to inject excitement and optimism and a sense of fun. I used to hide that because in the early years when I signed for my publishers, they kind of like spirituality, religion, it became serious. But increasingly, I found we need to laugh. And I've actually spoken to a few comedians on my podcast and with media. I did this thing on Channel 4 with Russell Kane and Catherine Ryan. And I actually had there's an episode on my interview on my podcast with a real vicar of Dibley, a woman who is a priest, but she's also a stand-up comedian in the Edinburgh Fringe. And I'm thinking, actually, the ability to give us some laughter, stop taking ourselves so seriously. So I kind of actually like to bring a bit more humour and lightness of spirit, balancing it out with the science and when you've lost a loved one, this is serious, this is difficult time, and I'm not denying that. But however, if spirituality doesn't bring you joy and give you that inner smile, what is the point? It shouldn't be heavy and serious. And if you speak to monks or, the Dalai Lama, there's a light in their eyes, they're laughing. And that's what I like about Eckhart Tolle, the author of Power of Now, one of the most impactful books of all time. You watch his videos, he's laughing. It's kind of like he sort of finishes sentences with a little laughter. And I feel increasingly I'd like to get to that point. It's not always possible, as I say, but spirituality should be fun. It should make us smile. So I'm trying everyone,
shouldn't it? What's the point in being alive and having all these amazing experiences that we can all have if we're going to take it all so seriously that we're not enjoying any of it?
I know, we can look to children like your children. They know joy. Just kicking leaves in the autumn. A conker hits them on the head. They roll over laughing. That's life.
Absolutely. One of the things that's kept me going, apart from my own children, is that we've had regular Zooms with my sister, and her two are even younger. So my niece is only 6. And honestly, the conversations that we have, and just silly things like, she never just sits in front of the camera to talk to you. She's always kind of pulling her face or like, sort of doing silly voices at you and things like that. Just, you can't help but smile, and you feel so much better when you've had a good laugh and a good smile.
And of course, if children aren't for you, pets, dogs, cats. I mean, my dog makes me laugh so much. In the evening now, he's got this ritual, and I'm chilling at the end of the day. He'll go on his back and start air swimming with his paws, with his mouth open. And honestly, it gives me so much joy. And I honestly think that if someone now offered me what I think I want, which is like the New York Times bestseller, my own show, or my little dog, I'd choose my dog if it was a choice. So I think, what am I striving for all this for? I've got what I want already.
Isn't that just the best way to end this interview? I mean, that just sums up. It sums up this year. It sums up life. We're all striving for something that we think we want. And it's that typical grass is always greener, isn't it? When you get there, you realise that actually that wasn't what you needed to make you happy. And a lot of the time it's either looking inside or looking to the people that we surround ourselves with. That's what really brings us joy, isn't it?
Absolutely. Or also what you can give, showing compassion, volunteering, helping. There's so much help you can give at the moment to other people, even if it's only a phone call or sending a letter or something. That's where you can get your joy too.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Theresa. Honestly, I've had so much fun talking to you. Would you like to just give people some information about where they can find you on social media and your website and things, in case anybody wants to find out more about you?
Oh, well, I'm too prolific, actually, as I always laugh. I'm a serial writer. So theresachung.com. I'm busy on Facebook. I have a White Shores podcast. It's easy to find me. Just type in the Theresa Cheung author and you'll find me.
Yeah. It's a nice unusual name.
Often, the thumbnail, usually, that's what I hate, is the thumb, because I'm not in control of the thumbnail when I do a media print. It's like there's a conspiracy out there against me. Let's get her in the most... You know what I mean? You know how the thumbnail, and I'm thinking, why? Somebody must have sat there and hit pause.
Well, you'll be pleased to hear that I screenshot something really nice for my thumbnails, so you don't have to worry about looking out for that appearance.
I did something the other week, and it was a really good interview. They were absolutely lovely, but then they put it on YouTube, and the thumbnail, I literally am like that, and I'm thinking, why? What have I done to you? So please, Kate, I'm living in hope with you now.
I will make you look as beautiful as you are, my darling. Thank you so much, Theresa. Honestly, it's been so much fun talking to you.
Lots of love. Thank you.